Right. For
Just
today, we are going to look into the second topic of aerospace quality and project management, which is we are going to touch upon the aerospace industry. Last week, we already looked at the general overview of aerospace management, and for today, we are going to go through uh, two of the subtopic, which is maintenance, repair, and overhaul, as well as the manufacturing. So probably you have already downloaded the uh, slides that I have already shared earlier regarding last week topic. At the same time, I've also managed to uh, convert the recording of last week lecture into YouTube video so that you can refer to it at your own time. And we did also touch upon the uh, two report from Deloitte and PwC with regards to the aerospace industry as a overview, meaning that we look into the forecasting, the current situation, and for today we are going to go into more depth into the two dominant sector in aerospace engineering, aerospace industry, which is the MRO and the manufacturing. With regards to system integration, engineering and design, and education and training, I would like you to refer to my video, the one that I put in the uh, Putra Blast, so that you can refer to it. Okay, what happened to? All right. Right. So you can refer to my Putra Blast link, and you can click onto the video with regards to the uh, background of aerospace industry. So in the video that I've shared in Putra Blast, it talks about the general overview of each of the subsector. As I said, I'm not going to repeat in term of the explanation. So you can refer to the you to the YouTube video with regards to what do we define in terms of MRO in aerospace, aerospace manufacturing, aerospace system integration, engineering and design, as well as education and training. Okay, with regards to the pandemic COVID-19, so the whole ecosystem of aerospace industry, regardless it is in Southeast Asia or in Europe or in North America, in all parts of the world, has been impacted with the pandemic COVID-19 situation, where travel restriction has already resulted into a uh, uh, chain reaction in terms of the global supply chain for the whole ecosystem of aerospace industry, meaning that when people cannot travel, it affected the airlines, and the airlines started to cancel order from the aircraft manufacturer, and aircraft manufacturer didn't receive the supply of parts and components, and it disrupted the whole ecosystem, right? So but everything has already changed. Now the travel restriction has been eased down for many of the countries in the world. Of course, there are certain countries still impose strict travel restriction, especially like country like in China. They have a major outbreak recently, and people from Taiwan, for example, they still have difficulties to gain visa to travel to some part of the world. So because of the different mode of handling COVID-19, so we can see here at the beginning of year 2022, right? The global fleet, sorry, Laser pointer. Okay, the global fleet was the same size as it was in 2017. So, what meaning that it's already coming back to what we have started before, what we had experienced before in terms of the number of aircraft flying in the global fleet. And it is not expected to top its January 2020 apex of almost 28,000 until sometime in the first half of 2023. So we are expecting it will reach beyond 2017 by 2023. So if we look here by 2032, the overall fleet is expected to eclipse to around 38,100 aircraft. This is projection. So based on cumulative or compound annual growth rate CAGR of 4.1% between January 2022 and the beginning of 2032. So if we look here, a study or analysis by Oliver Wyman, it shows the global fleet forecast by aircraft class. So over here we can have a general classification of a turboprop type of aircraft, regional jet, wide body, as well as narrow body. You can see the narrow body dominate the growth compared to wide body, regional jet, as well as turboprop. All right. So comparing year 2020, it will grow into 35,000 from 27,000 number of aircraft to 35,000 to 38,000 by year 2032. All right. So this is a projection, and it is very promising, saying that the aerospace industry or the airline industry are growing rapidly, going back into the before pandemic situation. Because of the slower return of international travel, because we are already going from year 2020 to year 2022, around 2.5 years. The most of the people are still reluctant to travel, and most of the fleet recovery will be in narrow body aircraft, and because of the nature of airlines, they are shifting to narrow body aircraft, and which will make up about 64% of the fleet by 2032, versus 58% in January 2020. Right? So while narrow bodies are expected to recover to pre-pandemic levels by mid-year, much of the increase initially will be from aircraft being brought out of storage or the delivery of aircraft manufacturers inventory because of the huge backlog. Huge backlog. Some airlines, they when they cancel order, they sometimes they delay their order. Instead of having it very soon, they want it later on. So it disrupted the whole ecosystem, and it's not just about Airbus or Boeing. It is the whole ecosystem of aerospace manufacturing. And before COVID-19 happened, so the industry was struggling with the 2019 worldwide grounding. This is well known, the Boeing 737 MAX. So more than 400 of which had been built but not delivered at the time, because of the pandemic shutdown. They have already resolve the issue with regard to the 737 MAX design of the engine and so on, and but they cannot deliver the aircraft. Okay. So while most of the fleet is a story of recovery, okay, the cargo is a story of growth, because many of the wide body aircraft are being converted into the cargo, meaning that, for example, like bigger aircraft like 777, A380, and many wide body aircraft are being converted into cargo. So we can see here a 17% increase in shipments in 2021 over 2019, because 2019, it is before pandemic, and now there are for the cargo fleet, it is already increased by 17%. And thanks in part to COVID-19 related online shopping, push the cargo fleet, and because of many of us started to actively do online shopping. I believe most of us are still doing it, and we that's why it pushed the cargo fleet to expand. In year 2021, right? So the number of aircraft dedicated to cargo has already grew to 3%, and the conversion of passenger aircraft to freight use broke the records, all time history. Like, let us go into the discussion on maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Later on, I will share with you two report with regards to maintenance, repair, and overhaul outlook. Because if you search around in terms of the availability of reports compared to the other subsector of aerospace, you can see that MRO overall report or yearly report is readily available compared to aerospace manufacturing, system integration, engineering and design, as well as the education and training. Because the two subsector which is dominant, as I said, MRO and manufacturing, it is already established. For the MRO sector, the market being redefined by fleet in transition. And this is because of higher numbers of retirement of aircraft and due to enter a period of intensive MRO expenses, because aircraft normally being used for 30 to 40 years from the day it is being shipped out of the factory, okay, and it can be used by many airlines. It's not just one type of airline. Sometimes it is being used as a second hand, it is being leased out, so it's being converted into cargo and so many other mode of transformation, right? And MRO demand should recover to pre-COVID levels by 2024. This is also being reported by Deloitte as well as PwC, but annual growth in the second half of the 10-year forecast period will be around 2.8%, right? So because many of the aircraft going to go into the aging period, right? By 2030, it is stated here, MRO demand is expected to reach 118 billion US dollar, which is 13% below the pre-COVID forecast of 135, right? Before, because the MRO market share being forecasted yearly, right? So by before COVID-19, in year 2019, 2020, it is expected by 2030 the market share around 135 billion, but it's already being recalculated and defined to be around 118 billion. Okay. If we look here in terms of the MRO market forecast by aircraft class, again, is already shown here, US billion. Basically, the depending on the the type of the aircraft, narrow body is still dominating, but it is very close to the regional jet. The white body, the lighter blue here, and regional jet in the gray color, and the orange is it is the turboprop. So the net revenue for MRO activities from 90 billion US dollar. This is the actual 90 billion US dollar. It is expected to be projected to 110 billion US dollar in 2027, and it will grow steadily by 22.8% CAGR to 126.9 billion US dollar. So basically, where does this market share being distributed, right? So later on, when you are going to do your individual assignment, most likely I will ask you to look into specific countries. For example, like maybe some of you are going to focus into Turkey, for example. How much Turkey as a country managed to capture the MRO stakes, the market share for the world compared to Mexico, compared to other parts of the world. So later on, when we discuss about the assignment, you will be given the task individually, right? To look into each country performance in terms of the market share. The slower growth projection won't apply everywhere around the world because different situation, different economic support, different incentive being provided by the government of each country, that attract the activities of MRO, and at the same time MRO also associated with the aspect of nose to tail ability of maintenance, meaning that for example, like in Southeast Asia, whether which country can provide all type of maintenance, from the engine maintenance, component maintenance, we have the line maintenance, the heavy maintenance, as well as the overall structure maintenance. So is meaning that can when the airline decided to go into a country to do the MRO activities, whether they can get all the repair or MRO being done in a place, in one place. For instance, the active China-based fleet and its MRO demand had already exceeded pre-pandemic level by the end of 2021, because the recovery is quite fast in China, compared to other regions like Western Europe. Will not see MRO demand recover until 2025. So basically, in the report that I'm going to share with you, you will be find out the reason why certain what are the factors affecting the recovery, what are the incentive given, in term of the tax exemption, in term of the support by the government, the skilled workers, and so on, right? Another trend that will shape the MRO landscape for aerospace is a potential push toward onshoring of capacity, a direct response to the impact of COVID-19, unforeseen stranding of some assets, with quarantines and its continuing disruption of supply chain, because his MRO also require spares, meaning that you require the parts to be delivered on time with the right quality, so that MRO activities can be done accordingly. And while some of the impetus is expected to diminish as COVID-19 fades, the airlines and aerospace manufacturers are likely to want a decent amount of capacity, and that cannot be taken out of the mix by trade wars, because some countries also having these trade wars or sudden travel restriction. Instead, that translate to domestic maintenance providers. So that spurs the domestic maintenance providers. So if we look here, there's a comparison between MRO shares in year 2022, and this is the result of year 2022 for line maintenance. Okay, 11.6 US billion. This is world MRO share, and airframe maintenance 18.5, component 14.4, and the largest is the engine MRO. Okay, so if we look at the comparison here, up here, if you can see, I will upload this particular slide in Putra Blast later on. The fleet size is around 25,000, and it will grow until 38, and the same number that we have already shared earlier, right? And if we look at the MRO demand, 78.6 billion up to 126.9 billion. So you can see here By 2032, the engine MRO from 34.1 billion going to increase to 65.4 billion. Is very lucrative. So any country that can provide the whole MRO for engine, okay, will be getting a lot of revenue. Compared to line maintenance is not that much. Every maintenance is the cake is still at around it's not grow significantly, right? However, component is it reaches 22 billion. How we can see here this the engine MRO has already grown double in terms of the net value of the market share. So if we look here in terms of MRO demand for the OEM like Boeing and Airbus, so you can see from year 2022 to year 2032, for example, like for Boeing aircraft, it is expected to grow from 39 billion US dollar to 54, and for Airbus from 30 billion to 61. Why is that so? Because more Airbus aircraft are flying, being ordered. The order are quite high compared to Boeing, and also we also have other type of aircraft, right? So you can see here in terms of the share of market MRO growth, okay, for Boeing and Airbus. Airbus already having the majority of the market share, 63% of the whole MRO growth in 2032, right? And beyond COVID-19, there are additional impending risks on the horizon that portend some degree of disruption for the industry. And the first is labor force, which is the first factor is potentially too small to support aviation's anticipated growth. That's why when we say about MRO, we also relate it to the education and training, whether a certain place, a country like Malaysia, for example, having the right number of aircraft license technicians, mechanic technician, and engineers to do the MRO activities. Prior to the pandemic, the industry was already looking at a potential shortfall mid-decade in the number of key aviation workers, including pilots as well as aviation mechanics, chief among them, because these people are highly in demand during the pre-pandemic, but during pandemic they do not have any job. So and most of them will end up to work as in other sectors. So at the time, the pressing problem was the baby boomers, which already reaching retirement age, and not enough candidates to take their place, the replacement, and replacement for the people who are already retired. The pandemic has exacerbated those demographic trends by encouraging early retirements among airline and aerospace workers, uncertain about the career prospect in a sector that COVID-19 almost entirely shut down for many months, right? So because these kind of workers, the aircraft license maintenance engineers, for example, like in the early age, they do not have any what we call it as the formal education. Most of the time, certain airline they train their mechanics to become aircraft technician, aircraft license technician, and to gain license without type rating, and then get license with type rated, and then and they can also move into a type C, of larger aircraft license, aircraft maintenance. So but in for example, the move by the Board of Engineers Malaysia in 2018 2019, which I personally involved, that we recognize, Board of Engineers Malaysia recognize the qualification of aircraft maintenance, whereby the Type C licensed aircraft engineer, it is already um, being recognized or being equivalent, having a sufficient equivalency to a degree holder, Bachelor of Engineering degree holder. So they can then register as a graduate engineer. What does that mean is that the um, license type C, LAE type C, they can then work in other industry because it's already being recognized as equivalent to an engineering degree, right? So whereby the license with type rating already recognized as engineering technologies, and license without type rating are recognized as engineering technician. This is a new move that Board of Engineers Malaysia has already they already took the initiative to recognize the workers in the aviation industry. Likewise, 2 years of pandemic also is likely to have discouraged many would-be pilot and mechanics from entering the industry. With demand lagging, the industry hasn't had to fully confront the problem yet, but that won't be the case for much longer. So for the next 20 years, Boeing estimates the industry will need around 600 plus new pilots, 612,000 new pilots, 626,000 new maintenance technicians, and 886,000 new cabin crew members. This is based on the orders that Boeing has already obtained for the next 20 years. So it means more jobs, more job security for the aviation related industry. Oops, let me just go to the next one. Okay, this is the annual MRO demand by segment and fleet size. So you can see the comparison being made in such way. Just if you look the line maintenance, component maintenance, airframe, engine, and fleet maintenance. Okay, in term of year 2022 until year 2033, this is still a projection based on supply and demand, based on the retirement of the aircraft, based on the availability of the fleet. So we assume there's no major pandemic happening, right, in the near future for the next 10 years. No more COVID-19, maybe no more COVID-29. We don't know. So we hope that the growth is quite steady, so that the revenue will be big enough to bring the aerospace industry into the mainstream again. Annual MRO growth by region is being compared here. For example, like India, is already having a lot of fleets, a lot of aircraft flying in and out India, doing MRO. For example, it is already capturing 14.6%. We are expected the cumulative fleet growth for India is growing in this direction, right? Sorry, this is annual MRO growth by region. The cumulative fleet growth is the picture underneath here. So for Middle East 8.3%, China 6.5%, Asia Pacific 6.5%. So and the rest of the world, we have North America only 2% because it's already saturated over there. We can see that Asia Pacific region, including China and India, if you add on China, India, and Asia Pacific, is already dominating the annual MRO growth. So in this particular diagram, they separate India and China because India have a population of more than 1 billion people, China also more than 1 billion people, and there are a lot of aircraft and people who like to travel, right? And this is the cumulative fleet growth. Basically, we are going to see plus 12,611 more fleet size in terms of thousands. Let us go into manufacturing. The next segment that I would like to discuss tonight. So as we can already see, the projection for MRO, the same thing you will be seeing for aerospace manufacturing. Okay, so we can see here year-end holiday air travel has already returned to near pre-pandemic level, and we can see even in Malaysia, people are renewing their passport to travel overseas. Okay, despite passengers needing to wear masks in terminal, but not anymore in Malaysia. And proof of vaccination requirements at destinations and flight delays. So many people are already going abroad. Okay, and increased demand for air travel and air cargo is spurring new aircraft order. So orders has already come in again, but it will take very long time to recover in because of the backlog. Because what we can see here from the report of Deloitte and PwC, we can see that the delivery time going to take around 5, 7 to 10 years. Okay. In terms of variation in COVID-19, recently we heard there's new variant of COVID-19 which have led to spikes in infection and hospitalization. The supply chain bottlenecks remain, and concerned that 5G wireless service introduction near US airport could also interfere with aircraft radar altimeters and also will disrupt travel, all confound expert prediction for when normal will return. So if we look one by one, there are I've chose a few major company to be discussed today. The first one is Airbus. We can see that Airbus has already delivered 611 commercial aircraft to more than 88 customers in year 2021, and this is 8% higher than year 2020, right? So they are working hard. Okay, and many of Malaysian company also get involved with the supply chain to deliver to Airbus. And in 2021, Airbus has doubled its gross order intake compared to 2020, with new 771 sales, which is total 507 net across all program. And at the end of year 2021, the Airbus backlog stood at 7,082 aircraft. This is backlog, meaning that the number of aircraft that not yet being delivered, even though there are orders, right? So new orders come in, new sales come in 2021, right? So the total of backlog already 7,000 plus, right? So the new A220, A220 won 64 firm gross new orders and several high profile commitments. The A320 Neo family also won 661 gross new orders. In the wide body, Airbus won 46 gross new orders, including 30 A330s and 16 A350s. But you can see that the smaller narrow body aircraft has more orders compared to the larger wide body aircraft. So they also have A350 freighter, which also gained an additional 11 commitment. So this is quite an outstanding performance for a company like Airbus. So if we look carefully here, the Airbus deliveries in year 2021 compared to year 2020, right? The A20 220 family, so they have already delivered 50 compared to 38 in year 2020. A320 family, you can see there's a increase of the deliveries. A330 families, which is not that much in terms of order, right? So 19 to 18. A350 family, 59 to 50 to 55. A380, even though many of the airlines in the world like Singapore Airlines, Malaysia Airlines, they're already retiring the fleet of A380. But of course, those airline that already ordered earlier, they it is still there for they released 5 in year 2021. So basically, that's what happened. So let us look into the Boeing company, right? Just now we look at the Airbus. What happened to Airbus, and now what happened to Boeing? So basically, year-end results were unavailable, right? But Boeing official did release 2021 delivery figures. How in terms of the performance of deliveries by Boeing, but we do not have the comparison on 2020, right? So for 737 aircraft, they have 263, 747 7 delivery, 767 and 777 and 787. So in total, there are 340 numbers of aircraft altogether. Compared to Airbus, they have more deliveries compared to the Boeing. Since the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, already approved the 737 MAX return to operation in November 2020, Boeing has managed to deliver more than 195 of the aircraft, and airlines have returned to service more than 200 previously grounded airplanes. So because of the issues of the two major incident of 737 MAX that resulted to the grounding of all 737 MAX all over the world. So the 737 program is producing at a rate of 19 per month, right? Which is progressing toward 31 number of aircraft per month production rate in the early of year 2022. But still, it is not enough. So the company is still evaluating the timing of further rate increases. So they have to make sure that airlines do not cancel order because of the waiting time is so long. So to get a brand new Boeing 737 is quite long time waiting. The commercial airplanes backlog for Boeing includes more than 4,100 aircraft, which valued at 290 billion US dollar, which Boeing delivered 83 new and remanufactured. This is other activities of Boeing, the helicopter Apache, and 20 new renewed Chinook helicopters, 16 F-15, 21 FA-18 fighters, 13 767 derived KC-46 tanker for air-to-air delivery and refueling, right? And the maritime patrol aircraft, numbers about even or slightly up from the previous years. And backlog at defense, space and security was around 58 billion US dollar, which represent 33% orders from customer outside the US. Let us look into another company in the US, which is Lockheed Martin. This is for the defense industry, where the production of a F-35 program, which is continuing to expand its global footprint and enhance operational capabilities. In year 2021, we already heard about Switzerland and Finland already adopted or already decided to buy the F-35 for their new fighter jet program, right? We still do not know whether Malaysia is going into F-18 or going for Eurofighter or what. We don't know yet. Maybe after the election we will know and will be announced by the new defense minister. So it is quite a huge investment for Malaysia. And Denmark already received its first F-35, and the Royal Netherlands Air Force also became the ninth nation to declare their F-35 fleet ready for initial operational capability. So numerous program achievements are enabled by employing digital technology, credited with achieving 142 F-35 deliveries in year 2021, right? And due to the smart tools, connected machines, and augmented realities, which contribute to delivery and sustainment of aircraft. This is in term of the manufacturing capabilities. I've I brought a group of students in year 2017 to the F-35 manufacturing plant in the UK. In the UK, they did the wing parts for F-35. At the same time, they also installed the Eurofighter engine for the Eurofighter Typhoon engine. So in what is it called? Watford in the UK. We've been brought to the facilities to look into the way they do the manufacturing of such an advanced aircraft, the F-35 and the Eurofighter Typhoon. So it's quite amazing to see the smart tools being used, the machines. They showed us the augmented realities. So I've personally have been in the factory of the future. Okay, and more than 750 F-35 aircraft already operated from 30 bases and ships around the globe, with 12 services having declared initial operational capability. Right. So this is to show that the capabilities of aerospace manufacturing is not only limited to the civil aerospace or civil airlines, but also being benefited to the defense sector. Right? Let us look into another company, Embraer, right, which already delivered 32 commercial jets as well as 54 executive jets and 36 light and 18 large aircraft by the end of quarter 3 in year 2021, and the latest figures can be made available, right? And the 86 aircraft delivered already exceeded the 59 total aircraft delivered during the same period in year 2020. And total company firm order backlog is around 16.8 billion, which is not as much as Airbus and Boeing, but is still a huge backlog, up from 15.1 billion the year before. So firm order backlog year 2019 is 15.9, year 2020 is already 16.8, and this is the highest quarter end backlog value for Embraer since year end of 2019, which driven largely by executive jet orders. So the company itself reiterates its delivery guidance for year 2021 of commercial jet deliveries of 45 to 50 aircraft, executive jet deliveries of 90 to 95 aircraft. So they promise to speed up and make their manufacturing move faster. And they also reported Q3 revenue grew in its services and support and defense and security segment up to 29.7% and 14.1% respectively. So commercial aviation revenue, which already grew from 36.6% over to 242 million US dollar, and executive aviation revenue around 20.8%, which is higher than the same period of time to 256.4 million, right? The last manufacturing group that I would like to share with you tonight is basically the Teal group, which basically they predict civilian unmanned aerial system, UAS purchases. More and more countries require unmanned aerial system, which will reach around 121 billion US dollar. Okay, throughout the next decade. Okay, non-military unmanned aerial system or UAS production will jump from 5.6 billion a year to 18.9 billion by 2030. So you can see that it's already triple. All right, a 14.1% CAGR in constant dollars. So drone delivery is expected to be the leading sector in the US by 2030, right? With industrial inspection emerging as a major commercial drone market. All right, so this is just another way of showing the data. World civil unmanned aerial system production value forecast by sector. So you can see civil government, the dark blue, the very thin line underneath here. The commercial sector, the marine blue, royal blue over there, and consumer, the lighter blue. So you can see there it is constantly increased in terms of commercial and consumer compared to the civil government sector. So this is the world civil US production value forecasted, right? So that is what I'm going to share with you tonight.